Hey everybody, my name is Paul Esden Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com, you guessed it, /BoyGreen25 for all kinds of groovy New York Jets content, interviews, and all that jazz. And yeah, you see that picture behind me? Just a nice little flex here. Was speaking at my college. Had that. Was doing speaking to some classes. Getting the juices going on all things New York Jets and rubbing it in everyone's face. The Jets are 5-2, and that's a perfect transition, of course, to our guest who's joining us because this is a special week. It's one that every Jets fan has circled. I'm not quite sure how it is for Patriot fans. We'll get that answer in just a bit because it is Jets Patriots week. And let's be honest, the Patriots have been kicking the Jets Patuki, and we'll be bringing up some of those numbers here with our special guest. And every time it's Jets Patriots, we've got our guy. It is Pat Lane. He is the host and co-host of the Patriot Nation podcast. You can also find his written work for Pat's Pulpit, the SB Nation site for all things New England Patriots. Let's waste no more time. Let's bring him in here. Pat Lane. Pat, what's up, man?
How we doing, man?
Well, I don't think I've ever been able to say this, so let me savor it for a moment. Doing better than you guys, it looks like. So, wow, I've been saving that one for a while. Man, what the hell is going on in Patriot land?
Oh, man, I have no idea. Monday night was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. It was disgusting, despicable. All of the adjectives, just embarrassing, really. And to make the switch to Zappy, to have the fans act the way that they acted, just made an absolute mockery of themselves in the stands, which was disgusting. And, just one of those things that you just like, it's inexcusable. And from, obviously the defense was putrid,
right?
But the offense, was the same thing. And it's like the coaching decisions and the fans. The thing that will never leave me is that, I was at the game, and to have the fans booing the offense after the first drive of the game was just ridiculous. I mean, they just looked like they had no idea about anything about sports whatsoever, and it was embarrassing.
So let's start there with the, again, Patriots quarterback contract. What is this, a bizarro, to Freaky Friday switch? You're normally asking me about those sort of things, but so Mac Jones gets injured, right? So, okay, he's missing a bunch of weeks. So, again, there's the question leading into this Monday Night Football game that you were at, again, the last game for the Patriots against the Chicago Bears in Foxborough. That's important to know for all the booing that's going on there. And we're not sure. Maybe we didn't even know day of. At least we didn't from the outside looking in. Well, right. Mac Jones, is he coming back from the injury? Or is it Bailey Zappi, again, the young rookie, and all of a sudden, again, had a little pizzazz to his game. Patriots were, 2-0 under him. So, again, he showed a little bit of juice, but we weren't sure where they were going. We hear Mac Jones. Okay, Mac Jones back, first round pick. Of course he's going to be back. Again, Bailey Zappi was just what we were understanding was just holding the mantle until Mac Jones was ready. Mac Jones gets in there. Again, you're talking about all the booing. He throws that pick that may or may not have been interrupted by the sky cam line and everything else.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he gets yanked. What it appears he gets yanked, benched. I don't know what else you'd call it. Bailey Zappi comes into the game. Belichick says the plan the whole time was to bring them both in, but he didn't want to bring Mac Jones back in because of whatever the score was. A lot of confusion. What the heck? Do you believe, are you buying the stock that Belichick is selling, that always the plan was to get them both in because Mac Jones wasn't 100%, but they wanted him to get back in there but not use completely Bailey Zappi? I was very confused.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can see that maybe was the plan. It's a stupid plan, but I mean, I guess you could say it was the plan, but I almost wonder, and I don't know, I don't know what the situation was, but I almost wonder if Mac wasn't completely healthy, woke up on Monday morning and the ankle was killing him. And, for whatever reason, took a half step back Monday morning, but they hadn't brought Garrett Gilbert up from the practice squad. So they only have two quarterbacks. So you figure we're going to put Mac out there for 2 or 3 series. We'll basically put him out there till he can't be out there anymore. And then we'll put Zappi in. And it just so happened it was the worst timing imaginable. If you go back and look at the, because Matt St. Jean, who is my co-host on the podcast,
yes,
he's a big film guy. If you watch the end zone angle of the pass before the Mac Jones interception, he takes a step. He steps forward with his front foot, and Damian Harris ended up dropping the pass, even though it was right in his hands. And he, as soon as he puts his left foot, his front foot down, He winces in pain. He like pulls his leg back up and almost like doesn't want to put any weight on that foot. So, I can see the angle that like his ankle was actually hurt and it was just like the worst timing imaginable. But it's just one of those things where like they're driving and you see another bad interception from Mac, which we've seen a decent amount of this year, and then he gets pulled and you're just like, man, like what are you doing? And I had said all week leading up to it, there is no reason to put Mac Jones in. 0.0. No reason to put him in. I get you want to get him against live bullets. I understand. I get that. But this is the most important game of the season this Sunday. And so like, forget everything else. He needs to recover before the game. Well, the game was on Monday. So now he doesn't recover until when? Thursday? Then he's getting his first practice in on Thursday or Friday. And now you're talking about it's a quick turnaround on Sunday. And how is he going to feel on Sunday? Is he going to be 100%? So like, that's the type of stuff. I didn't get it, right? Put Zappe out there. And this is the thing for me. If the Patriots had lost to the Bears, they lost to the Bears. Like, it is what it is. Yeah. Obviously, it's not ideal, but it's an NFC game. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter as much, right? So you lose that game, fine. If Zappe had started that game and continued to play the way he was after those first two drives, everyone would have woken up Tuesday morning in New England and said, okay, the Zappe era was fun. It was a lot of fun. He looks like he could be a fun guy. He's not the guy. And maybe he will be at some point, but he sure as hell isn't the guy right now. And so we're ready for Mac Jones to come back in. But, the whole first three drives, then Mac gets pulled, then Zappe plays well for those two drives. Then he plays like garbage the rest of the time. And you're like, now what, right? What happens if Mac goes in and plays poorly against the Jets? Now what do you do? So like, it's an absolute mess.
That's a part that frustrates me. And again, I'm not even a Patriots guy, but from the outside looking in, is that, Mac Jones had sat out and you guys haven't had your bye week yet. Is that correct?
No, 3 games he sat out.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Yeah, I wanted to make sure the 3 games were just the 3 games and not extra bye. So he had the 3 games sitting out. You had the Monday Night Football game again, which could have been a 4th week in a row. Right. And then also, again, considering the short week that we've been talking about, again, Monday Night Football to Sunday, and then the full, again, as you just mentioned, that full rest heading in, because if he was healthy enough to start, he wasn't going to, it's not like even with your 2 quarterback situation, where Mac Jones is going to start on the bench, Bailey Zappe starts, and then if all hell breaks loose, I guess we got to go to Mac, because now it feels like it's messed up in every way now. Now that you put Mac in, because again, he was compromised in some way, so now your full rest that would have happened with 4 straight weeks was compromised by whatever happened, because obviously it seemed like he, as you mentioned, I noticed it a few times too, where it seemed like he grimaced. I'm like, ooh, okay, that didn't look good. And then, man, it just seems like a total thing, which is weird because Bill Belichick is supposed to be like the greatest coach of all time. And I guess anyone can make mistakes, but how all of this has been handled is, again, just been incredibly weird. So what are expectations for Mac Jones heading into this Jets game? Because, again, if he wasn't at 100% for Chicago, I don't know what magic wand would be waved at less than a week later and playing on it that it would be any better. And now he's starting, as we found out.
Yeah. So full participant in practice today, but like, it was a walkthrough basically today, glorified walkthrough today, right? So like, sure, he's a full participant. And look, he was their leading rusher in the first half last week, right, on Monday night. So
showed a little, I'll be honest, I was a little surprised by the wiggle considering the injury and just considering Mac Jones in general. Yeah.
Right. He is more athletic than people give him credit for. Actually had the same 40 time as Patrick Mahomes. So doesn't have the arm that Mahomes has.
No one talks about that, yeah.
But he doesn't have the arm that Mahomes has, obviously. But like, but he has the ability to move around a little bit, right? So, but look, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And this is the problem that I have, because if he goes in against the best defense the Patriots have played so far this year and struggles, now what do you do? Then you're at home next week. Yeah. Do you have to put Bailey Zappe in, or do you play? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, right? And so, like, obviously, best case scenario for the Patriots is that Mac Jones goes in and lights it up against the Jets, and you're like, yep, there goes your quarterback controversy right there. Like, Zappe can't do that. Mac's the guy. Boom, we're good to go. But if anything other than that, even if the Patriots win, if he doesn't play great, it becomes really difficult to then spin it to the fan base. Now, the fan base saw on national television, Bailey Zappe looked pretty bad for the last 5 drives of the game, right?
Tough. Very
and
tough.
So, like, but at the same time, you can spin it. Well, the game got out of hand and he's just trying to, he's trying to throw for the end zone and he's trying to make crazy passes and like he's pressing and whatever, right? So, but to me, I just think like you ruined it for no reason. You didn't need to do that. Like it was completely unnecessary. And so, The hope, of course, is that Matt can play well. The offensive line has struggled mightily. They were awful on Monday night. And then you lose David Andrews.
Yeah,
Seems like he's probably going to be out. And so now it's like, well, you're talking about one of the best defensive linemen in the league in Quinnen Williams, and he's going against friggin' James Ferentz and, and Cole Strange, right? So like, that's tough, and now you're being asked to run on that team. Jets have a good defense anyway. So you're being asked to run and pass on that team, and it's not going to be easy to do.
So, Pat, let me ask you, because again, let's roll them out. And unfortunately, I know I'm off the top of my head. I wish I didn't, but it's unfortunate. It is what it is. The Patriots, of course, have won 12 in a row. They've won 20 of the last 22. And even those 2 Jets wins, if you want to swing, go, well, they won twice in 22 games. Both of those came in overtime. So the last time, straight up, 60 minutes, Jets, Patriots rolled the ball out, was, of course, the playoff game, 2010-2011 season in Foxborough. So, like, and I think someone else dropped the stat. The last time the Jets beat the Patriots in Foxborough when it wasn't, like, anything crazy, it wasn't playoffs, was like 2006. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, what a stat. So I ask you this. The Jets, red hot, winners of 4 in a row, best start since blah, 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 2010, this and that. And the Patriots, obviously, we're on a hot streak. Obviously, before this Bears game, they're rolling pretty good, and they lose this one. Is there like, whoa, look at this Jets team. This is way different than anything we've seen recently. Or is there that quiet confidence that, look at this history, baby. We've got this mental advantage that we're coming in. We kick their ass all the time. This is no different. This is our quote-unquote get-right game, and we're just going to come in there and take care of business. Despite all what seemingly is bad around the New England Patriots right now, is there a quiet confidence going in based on the recent history of the Patriots versus the Jets? What is that perception from you, fan base, or just everyone in general?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, I think part of my take said that the Bears have beaten the Patriots as many times in the last 6 years as the Jets have.
Which, again, for people, NFC, AFC, don't play that often. Again, as insulting of a stat as you can possibly have. Yes.
I think the number's 1. But anyways, it's funny because Belichick, we all know Belichick's history with the Jets. He hates the Jets. Yes. And so this is like his mini Super Bowl every year. He's got 2 mini Super Bowls every year, and all he wants to do is beat the Jets, right?
Yes. Yep.
But from the Jets' perspective, they're looking at it exactly the same way. They're looking at it, hey, we're 5-2. That's great. We're feeling good about ourselves. But if we really want to make some noise in this division, if we want to prove that we are the team that we think that we are, we have to beat the Patriots. We have to. And we're at home, and they're a confident bunch. And it's like, hey, we're young, and we're talented, and we're confident, and we're going to whoop the Patriots' ass on Sunday. And that's got to be the attitude from the Jets coming into the game. And the Patriots' attitude's got to be, hey, this is a bigger game for the Patriots than it is for the Jets. If the Jets lose this game, they lose this game. Like, obviously, it's not ideal. You want to win clearly, but you're still in the driver's seat as far as seeding is concerned. If the Patriots lose this game, their season's over. Their season's done. You're 3 games behind the Jets with, 3 games behind the Jets with a loss to the Jets and a loss to the Dolphins, and you still have both games to play against the Bills. So there is no catching. There's no catching the Jets. And the thing is that it's like, oh, they're not going to win the division. I realize they're probably not. They're not going to win the division. I get that. But if you're going to make the playoffs, you have to pass the teams in your division.
Correct. Right.
So like you have to be able to kind of make a run in the middle or end of the season where you can say, hey, we're in a position to make the playoffs here. And if you're in last place in your division, I don't care what your record is. If you're in last place in the division, that ain't going to happen, right? So it just becomes an issue of you have to win this game or your season's basically over, just because the AFC East has played so well, And so, you're only 3-5, but like, good luck coming back when, the Jets are 6-2 and the Dolphins, probably are 6-2 and the Bills are freaking whatever the hell their record is. So it's like, you're not gonna come back against that, right? So you have to win this game on Sunday. It's a massive game. You got to think everything's going into it. I would imagine that's one of the reasons why the Patriots played like such crap on Monday night, because they were like, we're gonna kick this team's ass and we're really gonna be ready for the Jets, the next Sunday. And they just overlooked the Bears, which you can't do. I think the key is Belichick and that defense versus Zach Wilson, because Breece Hall going down was a massive loss for you guys, just a massive loss. I know you trade for James Robinson, but he's not the same type of player. Definitely he's fine, not. But like you don't have that explosion that you have from Breece Hall. So you say, okay, we need to force 3rd and longs and get Wilson under pressure, because when he's under pressure, he has been really bad so far.
Yeah,
and
the
so
numbers are evident. Yes.
Right. And so maybe he can turn it around this game, but that's got to be the Patriots' best bet is let's stop the run early on in the drive, get them to 3rd and longs, and make them make plays on 3rd and longs, right? I think the Patriots made the Bears do that like 2 or 3 times. And I shouldn't say that. The Patriots made the Bears do that a decent amount, and they were able to.
Because of the crazy
Mostly
running from
running.
Fields. He got away on
Yes.
so many unbelievable 3rd and longs against you guys, which was tough.
Yeah, and mostly running, right? And so it's like Wilson's a mobile guy, don't get me wrong, but he's not necessarily, they're not going to be calling designed runs for Zach Wilson.
No.
Right? And so he's mobile in the pocket and can evade pressure and, and kind of get out of things that way. But you don't necessarily have to worry about them running like a QB power with Zach Wilson, right?
Which the Bears did often.
Yeah. Right. And so we'll see. But I think that's going to be their best bet is the defense got to play well. It's got to be a dirty, nasty, slog it out game that everyone's going to hate to watch. And that's how the Patriots are going to win this game.
Again, we're speaking with Pat Lane. He's the co-host of the Patriot Nation podcast and, of course, does great work for the writing side of things at Pat's Pulpit, which is the SB Nation site covering all things New England Patriots. I'll tell you, Pat, the Jets have done, at least to this point as we're recording this, a good job of not providing any bulletin board material for the Patriots in the sense that, the thing that keeps getting brought up by the media as they're trying to get that juicy quote is the Patriots outscored the Jets in the 2 games last year. Again, another stat I wish I didn't know off the top of my head, 79-19. And the one that keeps getting circled, of course, is the Patriots scoring 54 on the Jets in Foxborough. And what everyone has said from the Jets coaching staff and players is a score they remember and remember getting body blows late in the game. And that's something they circled. The best we've gotten came on today's Thursday. So the best we've gotten is on Thursday. Jeff Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator, was asked about it. He said he remembered the score and he just said, he said something to the effect of like, the memory serves. We're going to remember that one. I don't want to tell you guys too much. So on the front facing saying, oh yeah, another game, blah, blah, blah. But behind the scenes, they are clearly slapping the thing about all the records and everything else for this game that's coming in. So for the Jets, while again, you're right, 5-2. If you lose, you're 5-3. Everything in theory is still in front of you because people didn't expect the Jets to be at this point anyway. So there appears to be a level of cushion here that didn't exist. But for a lot of Jet fans, they have been saying for weeks, and even as we're building into this, like this is the game that determines how for real you really are. Because while New England may not be New England, to the Jets, that's always, to use the term, has always been their ghost, the demon that they haven't been able to conquer. So if they get this, I feel like it should be real for a lot of fans anyway, being, again, 5-2 at this point. But to beat the Patriots and, in your words, in this must-win game for New England, potentially put them on the ropes and drastically on the ropes and go to 6-2 at the same time, that arrow's going up, the other arrow's going down. Like, that is the paramount importance. That it feels like from a Jet fan and people perspective that this one feels even bigger than perhaps any Jets-Patriot game in a long time and the home game and the raucous crowd that's expected.
Oh, 100%. And, again, if I'm a Jets fan, I'm looking at this saying, hey, I'm happy that we're 5-2, man. Like, I'm not going to apologize for beating bad teams. Like, it doesn't matter. We beat them. And that's what it comes down to. And then this is the game. This is the game where, like, okay, yeah, maybe I didn't want to believe. Maybe I'm still on the fence. I don't know. Like some of those wins with Flacco, like they were ugly wins. Like what?
Yeah.
Like okay, fine. If you beat the Patriots, and I know the Patriots aren't the Patriots of old, right?
Right.
But if you beat the Patriots, you beat the Patriots, and that's one of those things. Like you said, I mean, they beat them. What? They haven't beat them in regulation since January 2011. Like it's just it's been 11 years since they beat them in regulation. So like. So, it's one of those things where like, and then you go back to the wins and like one of them was 2012 where a call that's never been called before or since and was wiped from the rule book the next week was called in overtime to have them win that game. And then the other one was like some fluke. Oh, when the Patriots chose the wind in overtime.
Yes, 2015. I was at that game. Yes.
So, it's just those are some of the things where you sit there and look at it and you're like, okay, fine. But like, this is the game. Like, we're going to talk about whatever we're going to talk about. But like, realistically, if you want to be for real, you got to beat the Patriots. And, that's really what it comes down to. Right. And the Bills, you saw what happened to the Bills last year. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I would say That's not true. I would say 2020, the
Mm-hmm.
2020 Bills. If you go back to 2020, yeah, they were kind of on the, they played well. They were fine, whatever. Patriots playing them well in 2020. And Josh Allen was kind of, he was struggling a bit. And then Cam fumbles and the
Oh,
Patriots lose
right.
that
Oh,
game
yeah.
in Buffalo. And they took off from there because that was it. That was the weight that was off their shoulder. They were waiting to beat the Patriots. They finally beat them. I think they swept them in 2020. And then, obviously lost the one game last year, but then they were like, that's a fluke. Then they came into New England and just absolutely blew doors. So like it's just a mental thing. And for those Jets guys that hear it all the time from their fans and all the time from their media, you got to think that that's got to be weighing on them mentally that like, yeah, sure, you're good. You're 5-2, but can you beat the Patriots?
Right.
And that's that question. And if they lose to the Patriots, like you say, yeah, they're 5-3. They're still second or third in the division. They still got a game lead on the Patriots, but you still feel less good about it,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, that's for sure. Right.
And so that then becomes a thing. And in Patriots now, talk about the Patriots have the Jets this week. They have the Colts with Sam Ellinger next week.
Gross.
They have a bye and they have the Jets at home. So like
this is a big swing.
This is a huge swing. You got to win all three of those games. If you have any desire to even to sniff the playoffs, you got to win all three of those games. So from a Patriots perspective, it's like this needs to be the thing that gets us rolling here. And it's going to be fun to see the two of them go at it. Because I do think Salah's a very good coach. I really do. Like he's got them playing well. He's got them playing hard. They're a good young team. And Sauce Gardner is an absolute stud, just an absolute stud, which is great, And so, like, it's good to see the Jets be good again, I think, and competing against the Patriots, which honestly you want. I want as many good teams as we can have because it's more fun when you play good teams.
No, it absolutely is. And again, so Sauce has been really good and he's been spectacular. There's nothing you can, take away from him. He was a 4th overall pick. So there's like an expectation that he was supposed to come in and be good. I will tell you, I don't think anybody, old Jack Jones over there in New England, again, a guy who not quite the 4th overall pick, but he's been the sneaky guy. And I know a lot of Jet fans will be like, who the hell is that? So feel free to give some proper spotlight here to Jones and his draft status and really how he's just kind of seized the opportunity here. Cause it seemed like with everybody kind of moving around, JC Jackson obviously leaving, there was opportunity there. And I think a lot of people scratch their head when they didn't do more there to replace it. Yet, I guess we've been finding out this season why.
Oh yeah, and you saw Marcus Jones in the 3rd round as well, who was like literally my favorite guy in the draft. I did a draft profile of one player, and it was Marcus Jones. So I was so happy about them taking him, and he's played well. Not as well as Jack Jones. Jack Jones has been unbelievable. I don't believe that Fields threw at him at all on Monday night.
Smart move.
And why would you at this point, right? He his first start, he gets a pick 6 on Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau. He got forced a fumble in that game as well, and I think recovered it. But I know he forced one. I don't know if he recovered it or not.
Yeah,
forced a fumble in that game as well, and then had an interception in the next game as well, coming off his coverage to make a nice leaping interception at the goal line against the Lions. He's just a good player. He's been a lockdown defender in PFF before last week. Had him graded as like the number 1 or number 2 corner in all of football. He's just been playing really well. The thing was, he came in, he was like 5'10", like 170 pounds. So people looked at him like, there's no way this guy can play. He was at USC, had some off-field stuff go on. He was at Arizona State, had a few off-field things. Nothing as serious as he had at USC, but there were some character concerns. There were some questions about whether he'd be a hard worker, whether he'd put the time in, whether he was a good guy or not. And he's been an absolute stud. He's been their most consistent cornerback. I don't think he's their best cornerback yet, but he's been their most consistent cornerback so far this year. And a guy that's really earned the right to be playing outside and does it, more often than not. And so they really lucked out. It's one of those things. They let JC Jackson go and it sucks for them because Jackson, of course, dislocated his kneecap, and the Patriots, instead of getting a 3rd round comp pick for now, are now going to get a 4th round comp pick for him because he won't have played the percentage of snaps, even though he got paid $85 million. He won't have
ridiculous money. Yeah,
right. He won't have played the percentage of snaps, and so they'll only get a 4th round pick. So, it's one of those kind of interesting things. But whatever, no big deal. Fine. He walks away. Gilmore walks away. and you end up with Jack Jones, who looks like a stud, and Marcus Jones, who's played pretty well as well and has outrageous closing speed. I mean, you saw the speed in Cleveland where he almost had that diving interception in the ends near the sideline, and probably if it wasn't going to be such a far if it wasn't so far downfield, they probably would have challenged it because it was awfully close to him getting both feet down. But either way, I've been impressed with both of their young guys. The question is, and the question that Jack Jones was going up against in Green Bay was, is he big enough to make plays on the outside tackling guys? Right. And Green Bay took advantage of that a little bit. They were throwing a Romeo Doubs, who was a big guy, and he was just kind of running them over for 6 or 7 yards every time because Jack Jones was going for a ride. Right, had a nice play in the backfield against Montgomery on Monday night, but like for the most part, he's not going to be great in against the run or on those quick screens and things like that. So that is an area that the Jets might try to exploit. But I've been extremely impressed with the way their secondary played. They didn't play well on Monday night. They were in a lot of zone, and they're not a zone team, so I'm not really sure why they were in zone. I think they were worried about Fields running. Why they didn't just have a spy with man one, I don't know, but it just is what it is. So I would expect a lot more man coverage this Sunday against the Jets.
As would I. And I expect with the analytics that are out there for everyone to consume on Zach Wilson when he faces pressure, when he faces the blitz, the New England thing, if you look at a lot of the recent games, especially obviously in the mini Zach Wilson era, is you blitz him, get in his face and man up. And the Jets obviously did not have the receivers who could consistently break up and have man beaters last year. We'll see if Garrett Wilson, who is supposed to thrive in that category, Elijah Moore is suddenly back in the mix if they can. One guy, though, that I fear, and I saw him on Monday night, unfortunately, I've seen too much of him on SportsCenter #Top10, is Matthew Judon, who's a freaking freak. And I get it. Like, the Bears end up, quote unquote, blowing out the New England Patriots on Monday Night Football. But a guy who kept rearing his ugly head and doing everything from getting his hands up to cause interceptions, sacks. Like, he's a freak. I mean, that's what Robert Saw called him, a freakazoid, and for good reason. I don't even know if that does it proper justice. When you guys signed him, I was like, coming from Baltimore, he should be kind of a middle of the pack. And, Calvin Pace is probably too bad of an example of a guy in terms of the sack production. I thought, he'd just be a solid guy for you guys. 6-7 sacks a year, just solid. And I'm like, whoa, I just totally misread what he could evolve into and become, especially with Bill Belichick. He's been a freak this year, and he's a guy that's been keeping me up at night as we've been looking ahead at this game.
I think everyone was surprised last year to see what he did. Of course, he's got 9.5 sacks through 7 games this year. He's just playing his butt off right now. And so, I think he's the first Patriots player to ever have 6 sacks through 5 games. Like, it just doesn't happen. So, and now he's got 9.5 through 7 games. So it's just, he's just a player. He's a playmaker. He makes plays. He's been better against the run this year than last year as well. So he's really kind of stepping his game, taking his game to the next level as well. I think Anthony Jennings on the other side, who I'm calling him Penny Jennings. I don't know if anyone's going to go along with that, but I'm sticking with it.
Try to get it out there.
I'm trying. Yes. I'm doing my best, But he's been pretty good on the other side. They've had some guys on the other side as well that can kind of play a little bit of that edge alongside of him. Josh Uche being out last week hurt because he gives them another speed guy off the edge, right? And so, we'll see where that all takes them. But Judon is a guy that wrecks games. And again, if he gets in there, and we all know, we've referenced it a few times, Wilson has trouble with the pressure, right? If he can get in there and pressure Zach Wilson, now you're looking at maybe he throws one up and it's a pick, maybe he fumbles and the Patriots return for a touchdown like that happened against Detroit, like. So maybe those things happen where a big play happens, right? And even the Bears game, and it's funny because the Bears game was more similar to the Lions game than people think. And the reason why is because the Lions went 0 for 6 on 4th down. Like, the Lions were in that game. They gained the Patriots by like almost 200 yards of offense. They crushed them, but they just turned the ball over a billion times, right? Yeah. The Bears fumbled 5 times Monday night. 5 fumbles and recovered every single one of them. And it's just like sometimes, right? Sometimes the ball doesn't go your way. The Dolphins week 1, they did the same thing. Dolphins fumbled 3 times. 2 of them went out of bounds and 2 will recover the other one. And it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like sometimes the ball bounces your way and sometimes it doesn't. And the Patriots used to be good enough where Okay, even if the ball doesn't bounce their way, they're going to win anyways.
You could overcome it.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Yes.
If the ball doesn't bounce their way now, they're not good enough to overcome those things. So they can force fumbles, they can force, bad decisions and bad plays, but then they have to then make those plays, right? And if they don't, then that's where they fall into trouble and they end up losing games. So it is going to be interesting to see what happens. I think Judon is a guy that's a force. I think Williams for you guys is the not
he's
Williams.
been great.
Yeah, Williams is the guy she's just phenomenal in the middle. And he's the guy keep me up at night because again, like I said, he's going against a rookie and James Ferentz, right? So that's scary. That's a scary proposition. We all know how bad the Patriots tackles have been. Basically all year long. So, Trent Brown, who had been pretty good, and again, I say pretty good, outside of the Dolphins game, had been pretty good, committed 1 billion penalties on Monday night and was just downright terrible. It was bad. Even those first 2 drives, he gets called for a holding penalty. Then he gets called for I think it was a tripping penalty.
Oh, yes, he did have that. Yeah.
When it was a defensive holding that would have given him a first down, they offset. Then it's 3rd and 5, and he gets called for a false start, and it goes back to 3rd and 10, and they run the ball on 3rd down. And it's just like those are the things that can't happen, and it happened so consistently with the Patriots. And it's been Isaiah Wynn, and Wynn was out on Monday night, and Trent Brown, took his place, unfortunately, in committing all the penalties. So they have to be smarter with the ball, and it seems so stupid. It seems so dumb to say and like cliche to say, but it's like, just don't play stupid. Like, just don't do anything stupid. And if you don't do anything stupid, and I mean, obviously you got to play well, but like, if you don't do anything stupid, you should be able to, if not, if you're not going to blow the Jets out, but if you don't play stupid, you're in the game. And then it comes down to a few plays, 2 or 3 plays, and you got to make those plays. You know what I mean? If you play stupid, there's a good chance. If you play the way they played against Monday night, the Jets are going to win by 30. But if you play a smart football game, now it comes down to 2 or 3 plays, and then the question is, are you good enough to make those 2 or 3 plays, or are the Jets more talented than you, so they make those 2 or 3 plays, or or whatever, or does Zach Wilson, he's in that situation and he can't make the play, right? And so the Jets end up losing, and so then that becomes the question: is like, someone's got to step up and make plays, and who's going to do it? You don't want to have the mental errors be the reason you lose, because that just sucks.
100%. Let's go with a couple quickies. I could talk to you all day long, so let's go through a couple here.
Yes,
first off, Jonnu Smith. I'm going to be honest. When you guys signed him, I know everyone said the Hernandez Gronkowski thing with the double tight end because you got him in the same, off season. What? I don't understand. Like, Jonnu Smith, when you guys signed him, an athletic freak from Tennessee, I thought it was a little rich on the money, but still, I said, even still, he's so talented. Like, they're going to be able to do so many things, jet sweeps and all kinds of creative things they did in Tennessee. Why hasn't that worked?
I have no idea. They're not calling his plays. It doesn't make any sense. He's not a down the field tight end. He's not a guy that's gonna wow you with his route running. He's a quick screen, jet sweep. He's a manufactured touch guy, but he's really good after the catch. So, like, you just want to get the ball in his hands and get the hell out of the way, right? And for whatever reason, they haven't done that, and I don't know why. Maybe they're going to do it more eventually. I don't know, but right now it just seems like a complete waste to have him out there because they're just not even looking his way.
Wide receiver drama stuff. Okay, so you guys signed Kendrick Bourne, and we're talking two. I'm like, Kendrick Bourne, what the hell are the Patriots doing? And then all of a sudden he shows up last year. I'm like, oh, okay, excuse him, wow. And then all of a sudden this year I'm hearing trade block, this and that, and I think it was Nelson Aguilar was the other one who was getting tossed around, and then you had the N'Keal Harry thing. I'm like, what the flying hoot happened? Like, last year it seemed like the Patriots receivers were going off with hashtag Pro Bowl Mac Jones, and all of a sudden, what the heck happened this year? What's the difference?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's a Matty P thing. I don't know if Matt Patricia doesn't like Kendrick Bourne
that's the other thing we don't talk about. Josh McDaniels, obviously, to the Matt Patricia Joe Judge combination. That's the point. Yes.
And I don't know if I don't know if he doesn't like him for some reason. I don't know if he doesn't like his attitude. I'm not sure. I just know he brings 1,000% on every single play and every single practice rep. He's always flying around. I love Kendrick Bourne. I don't know why he's not playing more than he is. It doesn't make any sense to me. Devontae Parker's been fine.
Right, yeah.
But, a guy that's really impressed me is Tyquan Thornton. I mean, Thornton, man, he's got some real wheels.
The speed. Oh,
he's like actually a good route runner too. He's not just a speed guy. And Mac Jones, if Mac Jones had another half a second on Monday night, he would have completed like a 75-yard touchdown pass to him because he had him. He had his guy by 2 steps. Max had to let it go early because he had no help. He had no blocking, and so he just had to throw it up there and hope Tyquan could get it. And the guy got a piece of him, and you could have argued that he did something, but like realistically, it wasn't much of a call. And so they didn't get the call, which is fine. But it's it's one of those things where I think they're okay where they're at right now. I think if they were able to move on from Nelson Aguilar, I wouldn't hate it. It is nice to have him on the team because he is a good player. He just can't catch the freaking ball. Like I don't, he's got 3 turnovers already that are on him, 2 fumbles, and then he dropped a Bailey Zappi slant pass directly into the hands of a Lions defender. So you can't be doing things like that, obviously, right? But he can get open, he can create separation, and so if he's on the team as your 4th or 5th wide receiver, I don't hate it. But if you can get something back for him because someone will give you something, fine, right? Yeah. I'm just not sure if you're going to really get anything of value from him. So Jacoby Myers is the big guy. Jacoby Myers is the number 1 receiver.
Yeah, look at him.
He's been good. And then the question becomes, he's a free agent at the end of this year.
Oh, wow.
Will they re-sign him? And I think that they will because I think he's more valuable to them than he will be to pretty much anyone else.
Yes.
But I'm not sure if they will or not. I think they will, but we'll see.
Okay, play calling stuff. So again, Josh McDaniels leaves. A lot of people just assume that they'll just figure out something from within.
Right.
And you have all the jokes with the Patricia, Joe Judge thing, and people are making fun of the Patriots from the outside. So let me ask you, from expectations on when they decided or kind of figured out what they're going to do from a play calling perspective to replace Josh McDaniels, has it been above your expectations? Has it met your expectations? Or was it below with what you've seen so far this season with that replacement job?
I love the play calling when Bailey Zappi is the quarterback. I hate the play calling when Mac Jones is the quarterback. It makes no sense. Okay. It makes 0 sense.
Right.
But they're opening up the package more. They're not running as much. They're not running play action as much. They're not having them under center as much. It just I don't get it. Like their best attribute is running. So run to set up the pass. That's what they did so well with Zappi under center. You see some of the plays. Hunter Henry's 31-yard touchdown against the Browns. There was nobody within 15 yards of him because everyone assumed they were running the ball. They run a great play, and Hunter Henry's wide open for a touchdown. And so it's like, those are the types of plays where it's like, hey, I like that play a lot. They ran that play to Myers. That leak play to Myers is incredible. He was wide open. It was a great play call. But it's like, why can't you just make those calls when Mac Jones is back there at quarterback? Right. I don't understand. Yeah. So, from a gameplay perspective, it's funny because I think we were going EPA per play, like the first and second down, the Patriots are like 30th in the league, and third down they're like 4th in the league. It makes no sense. So it just it's bizarre. And so, but then you're getting into these 3rd and long, so it's like, okay, you pick up 7 yards on 3rd down, but it was 3rd and 9, and so like that's the type of stuff for me that I just it has to get better. It has to get better. It's okay. It's not as bad as it could be, but it has to get better.
All right, Pat, before we get you out of here, we're going to do prediction time. And again, everybody, we're going to get Pat back because we've got Patriots, Bills, Jets bye week, and then Patriots again. Ooh. That, of course, will be in Foxborough. So, again, we just talked about the important run for New England in these batch of games. Same thing for the New York Jets with all these divisional games. So, Pat, before we get you out of here, of course, we've got to force you up against a wall and get you to give a prediction for this thing. And this one feels more interesting than any prediction you've ever given on the show for one of these Jets-Patriot conversations. Sure. How do you see this one playing out?
It's true. You know what? Before I give you the prediction, yes. I do think it's funny. The Patriots and Jets, have the same bye week, so neither of them get the advantage.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Wow.
So neither of them get the advantage of coming off the bye against a team that played the week before.
Go figure.
Additionally, the Patriots are playing the Bills on a Thursday night, but they don't have a short week because they play on Thanksgiving. You would think that would give them an advantage.
Wow.
Except funny. The Bills also play on Thanksgiving, so it's like, what the hell, dude?
Who
like, it's just so strange, So,
it's bizarre.
But anyways, I listen. I have to pick the Patriots. I mean, I have to. I have to pick the Patriots.
It's must win, as you said, for all the reasons. Yes.
And again, I think it's going to be an ugly game. I think pound the under. I don't know what the under is. If the under is 35, take the under anyways, because if the Patriots are going to win, it's going to be an ugly game. And they're going to have to slog it out, but ultimately it's what has to happen in order for them to compete in this division. They're going to have to do that.
It's 40.5, by the way. That's the current
40
Vegas
and a half.
line. 40.5.
Yep. Oh,
You
my
still slamming
Lord.
that under?
Pound the under.
Okay,
Man,
good.
listen,
That's
I'd
good
take the
advice
under
right
if it
now.
was 32.5. So, like, take the under at 40.
And by the way, since we're speaking of lines, before we get you out of here, New England opened as a 3-point. It's now opened as a 1.5. It's now 2.5. Money going towards New England. 2.5 in MetLife. Does that sound right to you with everything that was going on?
The Jets are 5-2. The Patriots are 3-4. They're in the middle of a quarterback controversy.
Yeah.
They played their absolute worst game in maybe 4 years on Monday night.
Yes.
And they're 2.5 points favorites on the road. I just don't. It doesn't. It makes no sense. And so from that perspective, since it makes no sense, you're inclined to take the Patriots because you're
exactly
like,
Vegas. What do they know that I don't? 100%. Right. I ask that every week.
Right. Yeah, well, although I will say, like, was it the who was it this week? Was it the Jags were like favored or something like that?
Favored over the Giants, right? The 5-1
right,
Giants,
and it was like they must know something, and they lost.
And then no, they lost.
right. So maybe they don't know anything. I don't know, but like
Yeah, it's always interesting. Pat, I always love these conversations, man. Again, we're going to be swinging by around the same time, so just in a couple weeks, so stay close to the phone, man. We'll be setting this up again. I love this, man, and good luck on Sunday again. I think regardless, it's going to be close. Maybe if you squint, something can happen, but I think, this Jets Patriots, this edition with everyone involved, I think this one's going to be tight. It should be an interesting one, man.
I agree. Yeah, enjoy the game. Thanks for having me, man, and look forward to talking to you in a few weeks.
Yes, and actually, before I let you go, Pat, of course, plug all your stuff because I think everyone's going to be intrigued by that Patriot perspective. Same thing, obviously, in a couple weeks as well. So if anybody wants to dive into enemy territory, where can they do that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's at @plane_Pats on Twitter. Obviously at Pat's Pulpit as well, and then online at patspulpit.com. Additionally, if you're into math or teaching, I'm a math teacher. I started a math TikTok. It's at Mr. Lane Math. If you're a math guy or a teacher guy or girl, and you're into that type of stuff, I try to have a little fun on there, and cool. Hopefully help the kids learn a little bit too while they're watching TikTok.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. So there you go. Pat Lane, guys. Make sure you follow. Make sure you hit him up. He's awesome. And we're going to have some great banter, not only this week, I'm sure, but also in future weeks on social media. So make sure you guys hit him up. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in for Jets Patriots week. And we'll have more coming up soon right here on the channel. Thanks, everybody.